everybody. How are you? Welcome to another wonderful week on I Created a Life I Love. We are so glad you are here. I am Christine, and we have Jeanette with us as well.
Hi,
Woohoo.
everyone.
And today our topic, I'm so excited, is going to be we're on our second week of talking about judgment. Last week we were talking about judging yourself, right? And how that inner voice can really affect you and how to make sure you give the same amount of time to any negative thought to flipping it with positive thought. I thought that was some really great advice that we got last week. And so this week, we're talking about minding your own business and specifically kind of focusing on social media a little bit, but we'll talk about non social media ideas as well. And that's what we're going to do today. So let's start with our what's up.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start with mine. Continuing to do different things throughout the city. So I have a very funny story. I attempted to go get my haircut at a school salon. And when I did that, it was, everything was great. Like the color turned out really good. But then when it got to the cut, uh, it was, no bueno.
Oh
So,
no, what happened?
basically, one side is longer than the other, that's why I have my hair pulled back, as you can tell for those who can see me, um, and I mentioned it to the student who was cutting my hair,
Right?
and the first of all, the reason why I went to the school is because, I'm not currently working, I'm trying to save up money, but I, wanted just to try something different as well. So I mentioned it to the student and the student was like, "No, there's nothing wrong." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, "Hello, they're two different lengths." And she's like, "It's because you part your hair to the side." And I was like, "Okay, she doesn't want my feedback." Like I could tell she's that kind of student. And basically, I was like, okay, it doesn't look too bad. I'll just tilt my head a little bit and it'll be completely straight. But then, at the end of the haircut, she told me, "Oh, well, maybe, or give me a review on Google and then I can sign up for master classes where they teach them more techniques." I was like, "Oh,
Right?
girl, I'm gonna, mention your haircut so you can get that master class." So that was my funny
But
story.
wait, so you actually because you still pay when you're going, right?
Hmm.
You still
Hmm.
paid and you tip.
No, no tip.
You
They
did
don't.
you don't tip, they don't take tips. They
They
don't
don't
allow
take tip.
tips.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Um, because I went to one in Minneapolis when I was younger, still living in Minneapolis, and I went to a school there and I loved it. They were amazing. I was young. I don't know. I'm not a big care of like how my hair is anyway. I've dyed my hair my whole life, permed. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, so we had perms from the moment we could get a perm, and consistently on top of each other perms.
Yeah.
So like it was I I loved it and thought it was great, but they always had someone come around, like kind of the teacher, instructor, or just someone who knew what they were doing walking around, and they would have to sign off on the cut. So they would come up and they would say, "Hey, are you happy with what they've done?" Do you know what I mean? They would ask the customer to make sure they were happy before they would let you leave. So did they not
They did
I'm
that
sorry,
for the
I'm
color
laughing so
portion,
hard.
but yeah, not for the cut. They did
Not
it
for
for
the
the color portion, yeah, yeah. And so then, like, by the time, like, everything was done, I couldn't find anybody, so I was like, "Whatever. I'm just gonna let it be.
Oh
This is
my
my
god,
fault for going
no,
to a school."
no, oh my god. Okay, so we're gonna start here. We're gonna stay here for a second. because I think this goes to everything and that we talk about. And so I think this directly goes to finding your joy and creating a life you love. So here's a teachable moment if we got to take this because I'm dying of laughter inside. This is killing me. So you're going to let me get this clear. You're going to blame yourself for going there. So you're going to let that whole negative thought and blaming yourself for going there, but your thoughts on just telling her the truth or saying, "No, hey, I want the person to come back because look, you're doing a very good job." You can do it very kindly, but like,
Yeah.
"Look, you're doing a very good job, but I do feel it's uneven. Is there any way we could bring over the head instructor or whatever their title is and have them check, please? I don't want to leave with it like this. I'm not happy."
Yeah.
Or
I
you
I
felt
think
it was
at that moment
okay.
though, I was so hungry and I was over it because at that time it was already like 3, 4 hours in and I was like,
Yeah.
no
Okay.
more, please. Whatever. I'll just go to a hair salon where I know I should fork up a little bit of money to, cut my hair. And
Yeah.
then I and the funny part is I came home and I tried to fix it and I even gave myself a little bit of bangs. Yeah, that didn't turn out well either. So I definitely need to go one of these days back to hair salon. That's just my exploration process of, trying
Oh,
different
oh my
things.
god. Oh my god, I love you. You're killing me. I have
Yeah.
so many comments. I do. I have so many thoughts, so many comments.
Well, enough about me. Let's go to you.
Ah, oh my god, that's so funny. I love you. Cracking me up. But so mine, what happened? I had a rough week. I got to be honest. As I said, I would be if, for those who ever listened to our first two podcasts, but uh, I am in the middle. So for everyone know, I have cancer and I have three surgeries that I am um, partaking in. I don't know what verb to use here. What that I will be having, I guess, put it that way. And I am recovering from the second surgery at this time. And so there have been very good days and not so great days. And I just lost my dog. So last week we talked about that we had three dogs. Our one dog died a couple of years ago, and then now we were down to two. And then our shadow left us last week. So I it is just now me and Zito. And Zito is a German Shepherd Rottweiler mix, 170 pounds rescue, has been through a lot of trauma. We think his owner might have died and he was in the house. He gets very upset if someone's kind of coughing or like sick. Like he's obviously dealt with some type of trauma of someone coughing a lot or being sick, and he'll leave the room. But him and I are now left on our own, except for Kit Kat, which that's a whole nother story we'll have to discuss later. But so it's really him and I. And I am realizing now that Shadow is gone. Shadow was like the even keel, like just nice and even smooth sailing type of dog. He definitely, would still have his moments and get excited or upset, normal things. But Zito's a very reactive dog, and he's either really into something or really not, and something's really upsetting him or not. Just a high energy, intensity, stressed type of dog. And as Jeanette knows, I'm a pretty passionate person myself. Like I don't have highs really and lows as far as my moods per se, but I definitely have lots of energy and then not so much energy and lots of energy and not as much energy. So mine isn't up and down mood wise, but it definitely does go up and down energy wise. And so the two of us alone in this house, I'm
Oh.
finding is a little interesting because we are either bouncing off the walls with each other in a good way, or we're both or one of us is driving the other one nuts. It's like it's just funny, like that calming, peaceful, kind of even keeled. That was the words I was looking for before. Type of personality is not in the house at this time, and we are missing it. So that I will say. And in my healing, I ended up throwing out my back because of where I have bandages at this point and where I've been cut up and where I'm kind of healing. I was favoring that area, those areas, and on one side of my body, and then twisted and turned in a way that was funky on the other side. And so that threw my, I haven't had a back thrown out like that. In like 20 years, like very rarely, I don't have that kind of stuff, back injuries or any problems like that. And so this was, new for me. And then I was on the floor. And then my dog, who was, having a little bit of his own panic attack, was trying to be on top of me, as I was trying to lay on the floor to like have something really hard and flat, and like my knees up and stuff. And so it was my fault. See, I'll go with you. I'll say it was my fault for putting myself in on the floor in the first place. I should have found a way to do it like on the couch or on the bed. Um, and prop it all up with pillows and stuff, but I was in so much pain. I just went down. I just stayed down. And my fault, my dog, I said, she's on the floor. Let's go. Like you are now my blanket. You are now my bed, and I will lay on you. So, yeah. So it was a tough week, and I tried to, as we're working on doing, find all the humor I can. And I will tell you, at first I got upset, and because it hurt, but then within a couple of minutes, I was laughing. I was just laughing my head off because I'm like, how, like, have we hit rock bottom yet? Are we there at this point? 'Cause this is pretty interesting, so, yeah. So, that was mine, but I am much better, so, let's start there,
Yay.
the good stuff. The back is all healed up, I am moving much better in the last 2 days, so I am very, very grateful for all of that.
All
So, do you
right.
wanna start with our topic before I go on my lovely little rant of what I have to say about all of this? Do you wanna
Oh,
throw in your
yeah.
2 cents? Okay, let's go. Let's go.
So, our topic is mind your own business, embracing non judgment and social media silence. So, Christine is extremely passionate about this, like I said last week. So, go ahead, take it away, Christine.
Okay. Well, this is how I think we could make the world a better place. I don't hate social media at all. I'm on social media. I think social media has done wonderful things. I think, yes, there are a lot of negatives to social media, especially for kids. Again, I grew up as a Gen Xer in a very different childhood than I have raised my kids in. I feel sad for them in a lot of the things that I feel they've lost, um, due to social media, any sense of privacy, the anxiety it gives, the stress it gives, all of that. So, let's set, this isn't a conversation on social media, but just to say that, then let's set that to the side, right? Like we're not saying everything about social media is great. And we're not saying everything about social media is bad. But when it comes to judgment, which is what we're talking about right now, last week judging yourself, this week judging others, I don't think one, we realize how often and how much we do it. And it's just almost a natural thing, just like that voice in our head that's negative just pops in there consistently. And you have to work, as we talked about last week, really hard to notice it first, identify it, and then stop it, and then counteract it with something positive. With judgment, I don't think of others, we're realizing just how much we're doing it. And just because you're not saying it out loud doesn't, I mean, great, you're not hurting their feelings, but you're still hurting yourself horribly by judging someone else. And so when you go on social media, my issue is this: I think we should be using social media to inspire each other. So I think everyone should post if you want to post. If you just created some cool piece of art and you want to post that up there, put that up there. If you just wrote this great, whatever it is, put it out there. Do you know what I mean? If you did this great dance and had a blast or did something silly and made a funny video, whatever, if your dog or animal did something, put it up there. I don't care. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The problem comes with when we get into the comments and the likes. That's when the issue happens. So if we could take away all the comments and the likes, we would be fine Because if I come on your page and you like made a vase face out of, you know what I mean, out of something and it's there and I don't like it, then guess what? I just move on to something else. I don't have to say a damn thing. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to say a thing. And this is what drives me crazy is everyone feels they have to say something and you don't. I look at social media things all the time and some of them I like, some of them I don't like. Do I like or comment? No. No, I don't have to give them positive feedback. I don't have to give them negative feedback. And people are like, well, people, like to hear positive and compliments and it's uplifting. You should be supporting and giving positive and uplifting comments to the people you actually know. Like to try, look around and look at your children, look around and look at your friends, look at your girlfriends, and support and give positive and loving feedback to someone you actually really know. That's a relationship that matters. That's a relationship, hopefully, that you're having. But on social media, stop. I just don't feel any need. There's nothing good that comes from that. Do you know what I mean at all? Because people get addicted to the likes or they get built up, right? Oh, they like me, they like and it's none of it's real. None of it's real. And then or they're saying mean things. I saw a post the other day and what this girl wrote was horrid, very mean. And someone called her out on it. So now that's the big thing right now that's happening on social media is everyone calling each other out on being nasty or mean on social media. So now they're fighting in the comments about
Yeah.
and the main person who just posted the vase that they really like is so gone at this point has nothing to do with being inspired by the one piece of art that they posted. Now everyone's just going to social media to see these ridiculous fighting and cat fighting and weird stuff in the comments.
Yeah.
And it's
Um,
sad.
it's like they're very entertaining. Like as far as coming up with additional ideas to the post, it could, post can like one original post and then somebody writes a comment, oh, and then try this or and do this and it just keeps going, building up and it's kind of like a phone tag and I enjoy looking at those. But yes, with the negative comments, those ones are, half the time are they a real person or are they fake? Because we live in a world of AI, bots, all that good stuff, and it's hard to tell if they're real or fake. So I think on TikTok they're actually limiting the comments section, like as far as if you don't want people to post comments or it's something like and Facebook and Instagram like you only approve those comments that get posted. So I think there's a limiting factor on social media already. But to what extent I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen a limiting thing, at least when I'm there, and the comments are going wild. And it's just and like there was another I can give you a million stories, but there was another one. There was a really cool posting on Instagram, and this person was doing like a movie, but in little bits and pieces. So you got a couple minutes snippet here, a couple minutes. Like each week, they'd come out with, or every couple of days, they'd come out with a new part of the story, like where the character was now, and it was really cool. It was really fun, and they kept it, very interesting. And everyone who was following it when it was a small group were hysterically funny like, they were making these really funny comments about what they were posting, and I can't explain how it was, but just very like you're saying, either helpful comments or funny comments, or
Uh-huh.
what you're saying are not harmful. And so these people were being hysterically funny, and they weren't putting the person down at all. They were kind of just adding to it, saying, "What if he goes blah 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 next?" Or yeah, and then he falls off this, or you know what I mean? They were doing like this whole little sub story to the plot in the comments, and it was witty and creative and funny. Right? Loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But as this guy started to get more popular, because I happened to find him and he didn't have many followers. And like I said, the small group. And then he started to get bigger and get more and more people. So then all these people came in and all they did was start critiquing the making of this little movie. Oh, he's using AI here. Oh, that wasn't a good edit. Oh, why did he jump from that to that? It's really stupid. You can see this. Oh, you can see where this is happening in it. Why that's that AI part of this. Why would he do like just ripping it apart continuously? And so
Uh-huh.
now you couldn't just scroll through and read the funny, witty comments and feel like, you know what I mean, and be part of that. You had to scroll past all these crappy, crappy comments. And the people who had been there the whole time were kinda like me, kinda like I didn't post, but they kinda posted back and tried to say something and saying like, "You know what? We know he's using AI to make this. We're fine with it. Go away. Like, we're not stupid. We're just enjoying it for what it is. Like, stop. Stop trying to explain art to us. Stop trying to explain AI to us. We get it. We're just not it's not because we're stupid, it's because 'cause we're having fun. And now you're the idiot who just came in and, like, is analyzing the fun.
Yeah.
And,
It's,
so
social media, splaining.
yeah, exactly. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh my gosh," it just got ruined. It really, really did. And I'm still following it and doing it. And many of those people have left because the person making the movie put up a little post saying, "Look, if we all know what I'm doing. If you don't like what I'm doing, then go somewhere else, but I'm going to continue doing it. So, please move on." And but I see so many of these posts now of like, "Oh, I'm getting negative comments from this," or "Oh, people are always telling me this," or people so then it's almost turned into this victim thing where they're sitting there saying how sad and hard it is to be on social media when these people are attacking them. And I'm like, why are you reading the comment? Turn off your comment. Like, stop reading the comments. Like,
Yeah.
stop. Stop.
Yeah.
If you're going to post on social media, you have to know because my rule, which should be the rule, should be the law of the land, is not yet in effect, so you know you're gonna get nasty comments. So like if you even choose to read them, and then people say, "Well, I only read them because I do want to see the good stuff and who I'm affecting in a good way." Why? Your ego doesn't need that. If you are purely doing whatever you're doing for the joy of you doing it for yourself, to bring yourself joy, to make yourself happy, right? And to possibly inspire others, you don't need the feedback if you did or not. If you did, that's great. If you didn't, fine. But you still just go about your life, do your own thing. And I
Yes.
think people get very caught up in receiving feedback. And what's so
Oh, yeah.
funny is kids aren't like that at all. Like you and I, as educators, kids don't want to hear feedback whatsoever. Like,
Yes.
they don't care if you like what they're doing. They don't care if you dislike what they're doing. They're gonna do their own thing for the most part, right? Until they get to the peer pressure phase, and then they still don't care, but they'll just keep it quieter because they don't wanna, like, be picked on, right, by other kids
Yeah.
and all of that. But they still don't care. Trust me when I tell you, they don't care. They just want to be accepted. So they're going to keep it quieter if they feel something they do might not get them as accepted, which is sad, which is a sad thing. But they honestly don't care. And then we become adults and we have this such a huge desire and need to hear positive feedback all the time. How am I doing today? Am I doing good? Is it okay? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And it's a l we gotta stop. Like, as I said, we gotta go radio silence. We've got to stop. And I just think it's again, it goes all the way back to that judging. We're judging if things are good, we're judging if things are bad, and then we're basing how we feel on that. Okay, if I get a lot of likes, that means what I did was good. If I don't get a lot of likes, that means, or they say mean comments, that means what I did was bad. None of that's true. The only point is if whatever you did made you happy, if whatever you did, gave you a creative outlet, sorry, for your creativity, and you made something, created something, posted something that you like,
Yeah.
then move on. Then
Yeah.
move on. If you're not doing it just for yourself, you're still caught up in this judgment circle, is what I'm saying, because you don't think that that's judgment, but it is because you have decided that your post or whatever you did is based upon the response of everybody else. and everybody else is just as stupid as you are. Like, like we're all trying to find our way. No one has, died, come back and said, this is the perfect way to live a life. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people with suggestions, right?
Mhm.
But no one's done it. And everyone is just doing their best. The only opinion that should matter to you is your own.
Yeah.
Is your
I agree
own.
with that. My generation is the generation that started off with social media as
Ah,
far as
so you
in,
had it young.
yes, yeah. And basically, there was a bunch of different other social media platforms out there that I didn't partake in, but my first one was AIM, uh, America Online Instant Messenger. And so that was like the group chats.
Heard
And then it went to, MySpace, and then it went to Facebook, and then it went to Instagram. So it's kind of like built up, from as I was going through high school, college, and beyond.
yeah,
So, my group is definitely the group of people that were kind of like the social experiment of how this is going to, go for everybody. And
yeah.
it's been a challenge, not only for, I think it's a challenge for all generations, including myself. I partook in a comment one time, and it turned out to be a very negative comment, and I didn't think it was at the moment, but now back when I see it, I'm like, oh, that was kind of negative. And I got, chewed out for that online, and
Oh,
now it's always out there. And that's the thing that we didn't understand. Being online, anything you post, anything you do is out there. And it's always out there for you to see. And even like when I see my mom go onto social media, like I have to teach her, too. Like, you don't have to comment on everybody's post, or you don't have to like everybody's post, just kind of like the social media aspect. And, or be careful of what you like too, or be careful, like be mindful of the things you do, because people are going to be like, why does this person like that particular post? Because it's controversial, or, X, Y, and Z. So, it's definitely something to be extremely mindful, because even jobs, or employers, they go to social media and they look to see how you're interacting with people. I've heard about that, as far as even people who are particularly famous, and they receive negative comments and they actually committed suicide. So it's something that we have to take, serious, as far as, if we post something negative, it's going to affect somebody. They're a person on the other side. Everybody's people. And so you really have to be mindful of everything you do.
yeah. I mean, my thing is, there's just no need for it. You don't like. I grew up, but again, I grew up in a very different generation. We were not interacting with the adults and stuff. It was a very different generation, and so there was just not this assumption growing up our whole lives that we had a quote right, which drives me crazy, to comment or to speak to everybody and to say our opinion all the time to anyone about everything. It like we just didn't grow up that way. And I think definitely most generations I know are strongly opinionated kids because, people because of it. Like we all came out, I think, pretty like strongly having strong opinions because but I don't feel, maybe I'm wrong. So everyone let me know. Although I won't be reading the comments. So good luck. But the point being, the point being is that I just don't feel that we walked around saying we had this right to comment on everybody else's life, on everything that they did, on everything that they do. We just didn't. We just don't. And I feel that your generation and the generations below and all of them, like there is a huge desire. Like you can't scroll past anything without jumping on and either liking or dislike that, and that's a judgment, like putting a judgment on it. There's no kind of just watching. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just looking and going, "Oh, okay, there goes that. All right, that's fine. All right, there goes." Like, I don't have to be like, "Oh, I hate that. Oh my god, I love that." Like, about everything and
I
tell
think it's
everybody.
I think it's, once you experience, something like I said before, and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have written that comment." I think after that, you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna stay out of it and just mind my own business and move on with life because it's not worth it in the end." People get upset. People get upset.
Yeah.
So
And again, with this going and sticking with judgment and staying on our topic, we're also, of course, talking about as well what you lose when you judge yourself or judge others is any sense of objectivity and curiosity and awe. You lose any chance of learning something. You cannot learn
mhm.
from that person. You can't learn from the situation. You can't grow. You can't gain anything from it. If you're judging, you lose all objectivity, which is key to in any way becoming a better person and having a better life or any of these things that we're talking about on our podcast.
Yep, yep, yep.
So that's my 2 cents. So my our challenge, our challenge for the week is try and not, every time you get annoyed with someone or something's happening, let yourself feel annoyed, but don't judge it. Don't attach it to their character. Someone does something stupid, say, "Oh my gosh, they made a mistake. They did something stupid." And that's it. But don't say
Uh-huh.
they're stupid. Don't judge it. Don't turn it into something bigger than it needs to be. And I'm telling you, please, on freaking social media, stop liking, stop commenting. Stop it, unless
Uh-huh.
you're funny. That's all I'll say. I'll agree with Jeanette. She has swayed me a little. She has swayed me a little. But our monthly resource that we chose to do with judgment was Michael Singer. Michael Singer has a number of books out. He also has a podcast. I think he also does, the lessons or webinars or that kind of stuff. Like the book that Michael Singer wrote that got it all going was called Untethered Soul. But anyway, Untethered Soul is really about, Jeanette and I touched on it last week, about n- understanding how your brain works and how it's separate and not who you are, and how it is not your soul. It is not who you are any more than your hand is who you are. It's part of your body that you're inhabiting at this time, but it is not what your brain is telling you isn't factual. Many times it's not true. And you know this. We all know some of the thoughts that we have had and fears we've had and things going on in our head, and they're not. They're not real. Like we can go to some crazy places with our mind, and we all know that. And anyone who's been through, a lot of anxiety or depression knows that as well. And so his look is really about separating that out, and knowing that you can control your thoughts. Let a thought happen, and then give it its moment, and then counteract it. And we talked about that last week. But also, what's really cool is he talks about not judging. He talks about every single time your brain's automatic reaction is to judge situations, people, yourself, everything. And he really says if you can start noticing every time you judge, start noticing it every time, the at least awareness of it and the identifying of you doing it can help you to start to become more self-aware and stop yourself from doing it. And instead of be like, oh, well, I wonder what will happen next. Instead of, oh, that sucked. So now everything's going to be bad.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
it's pretty cool. It's a good book. So anyway, Untethered Soul, it has a lot of scripture quotes. It has quotes from Buddha, a lot of great teachers. So anyway, that's our resource for this month. There you go.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about our moments of joy. I'll start off first. So, what I'm going to share with you guys right now is my social media post related to social media in
Yay.
regards to running my first half marathon. And it's just the amount of creativity you can do with post is just amazing. And I know my post is like completely basic, but it just shows my journey of going through training for a half marathon. I know it's not a full marathon. One of these days I'll do something where I can, train for that, but we'll see. I'm going to push that a little bit until maybe after kids. But we'll see. I might change my mind. But it was a great experience that I did with my good friend who wanted to do it for her birthday. And so it was amazing. And I just had so much fun, adrenaline the whole day. It was great. It was a great experience.
I can't believe you in any way said, "Oh, it was just a half marathon. It wasn't a full marathon." For those of it, the most I've ever ran, I think is like I've done a like 5K, right? So that's like 3 point something miles, right? I've
Mhm.
done different 5K runs around. That's it. But a half marathon is how many miles? Like 13.
13.1.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's insane. That's insane. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about when you're like at mile 8? And knowing, "Oh, I've got 5 more to go."
Well, the best part of the whole training is to train with a partner. So even when we are running, like we weren't running to be fast, we weren't running to beat our time or anything like that. We were running to hang out, honestly, and to talk and to catch up and, to see, how our journeys are, in our lives are going and just talking and hanging out was really motivating. And then afterwards, we would go get our coffee or we would get our breakfast because I didn't get to see her very often. And
Okay.
she's one of my close friends. So it was super motivating. It was. And plus, I got in shape. So and I needed to get
That's
into
great.
shape. So that is something that was motivating.
I am in complete awe of you. You are my hero. There you go. I love it. I'm so very, very, very proud of you. I think it's incredible.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
my moment of joy is a sunset. So I'm not going real far, real fast, real much, real anywhere. So I'm pretty limited on my pictures. And I didn't want to take an old one out because this is really a journey for me with creating a life I love while I'm healing from cancer to be looking forward. And, I've done a lot of reflecting, trust me, when I was first diagnosed, but this is the period of time where I'm really trying to be moving forward. So I was outside early one morning and the sky was just incredible. I think I've lived in the Midwest. I've been a lot of it Colorado. I've been Georgia, a lot of Florida. I've been a lot of different places, Washington, Portland. But I just think there's something so special about California sunsets and sunrises. I mean, I just have never, and even in other countries, that I've been in, it's, I've been here so long and I am still always struck by the colors. Aren't
Yeah.
you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it just doesn't disappoint. I don't know what to say. And that's after seeing it for decades. So anyway, it was a beautiful, I think it's a sunset. I'm not even gonna fully remember with, what I've been through this week, but hopefully that's my moment of joy. So please make sure everyone send in, please, your moment of joy. If you have a picture, that's fantastic. We'll post it up. Remember, our website is icreatedalifeilove.com. And please send any pictures or your moment joy or your stories to us at our email, which is I created a life I love at gmail.com. And also to let you know, our new Monday Minute was up yesterday. Remember, these are on YouTube. There are also links on the website, but we're putting them as shorts on our YouTube channel. And they're just a minute of nature sounds. I'm doing a couple ocean ones right now because I did get down to the ocean like last week, I think it was before the last one, and was just able to be there and stand for a little bit and sit for a little bit before we had to come home. And so these are some beautiful waves and just the sound of the ocean and the seagulls out there. So we suggest using these minutes to just take a breath in the middle of your day. We all start out in the morning with a great plan, and then it always gets derailed. So that's what these little minutes are for you to just take 1 minute sitting at your desk, wherever you're at, to breathe again, take some breaths, and kind of recenter yourself. All right. So that's it. What do we got coming up next week, Jeanette?
Next week, we're going to be talking about judgment free living for empowered women.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right, everybody, go out and create a life you love. Have a great week.